Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I'm looking forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where we were lucky enough to sit down with professional MMA fighter Linton Vassell. He is next level. That episode was awesome, and if we ever see him in person, I hope that he knocks Alan's head off.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Today, we are going to do another installment in the 5-minute clinic. So today, we are going to do lessons that Alan and I have learned when it comes to trade-offs. So something that I have spoken about on the podcast in depth, very vulnerably. Is that a word?
Vulnerably.
That is a word. At one point, I was dating somebody, and I knew that this relationship, situationship, whatever you want to call it, wasn't the end-all, be-all. Mm-hmm. It was not going to last, and I knew that. It was comfort, and it helped for sure because it met some of my needs. But I knew that it wasn't going to be a long-term thing. And I realized that what I was doing was just seeking comfort, and I was probably hurting that person long-term. So I had to stop that thing. Right. I had to break that off. And it was hard because at this time, you and I were doing a lot, and we still are. We're doing more now. But I hadn't leveled up to the ability mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, when it comes to my habits, when it comes to my discipline, when it comes to getting the right amount of rest. Like, my habits were not there yet. So it was a very lonely time in my life where it was like, you told me, you said, hey, man, this is going to get worse. Like, if you go through with this, it's going to get really hard. And I said, well, it's something that I have to do. And that's what a trade-off is. A trade-off a lot of times is you giving up something in the moment, even though it's hard, even though it's creating more pressure, even though it's creating more stress.
Right.
And that's what I had to do in that moment. And it was really hard for me. But if I didn't do that, then a lot of the things I'm doing today wouldn't be happening.
Exactly.
I wouldn't be in the amazing relationship I'm in today.
Right.
So many things came from that. And that's the thing. Sometimes, hopefully, every single trade-off you make will end up in a win-win situation. I don't think it always will, but I think that's the goal. If you know, again, I've said this before, and this is a quote that Matt lives by, which is awesome because this is the quote I came up with. There are usually two answers, the right one and the... Wait. What does it say?
The right one and the easy one.
The right one and the easy one. Yeah, okay, I was going to say.
You were on your own quote there.
Yeah, right. Well, you win some, you lose some. But at the time, it wasn't the easy one.
Yeah.
It wasn't the easy one.
It's crazy because trade-offs. So you have to give up to go up. That's one of the laws of leadership by John Maxwell, the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Also, one of the laws of personal growth in the 15 invaluable laws of growth is you have to give up to grow up. And so there's trade-offs. So there's basically giving up something that is good now for potentially something that is great later. And all of this is predicated on your own awareness of what you want and what you value. So one of the stories that I wanted to tell was there was a friend of a friend who, through the grapevine, I heard said this: oh my God, Alan was making all of that money in corporate America, I would never leave a job making that much money. And what I told this friend, not this person directly, but the person who told me this through the grapevine, I said, that's why that person will never make that amount of money, because I had to give up $65K to go and chase $85K. I had to risk $85K to make $100K. I had to risk $100K to make $120, and I had to risk $120 to go way beyond that. And then I had to risk nearly $180 to start my own thing and then eventually grow beyond that. If you're not willing to give up the good to go for the great and make that trade-off, and here's the crazy thing about trade-offs, both in Kevin's story and in mine, at first it sucks.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're giving up the good for something great, but the great takes a while to come.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think was super powerful is when Kimberly Spencer said that, think about when you step on the sand on the beach. The water and the sand fills that space in. So whenever you give something up, whether it's a person, place, or thing, a job, or maybe a relationship that's no longer serving you, a friend that's toxic, that space, the universe is going to fill that with something else, hopefully something more suitable for you.
And you'll never know if you don't give it a chance.
Right.
If you don't give it a chance, you'll never really know. And so you have to have some clarity of the future. You have to have some vision of the future. You have to have a desired outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
And if you're looking for... Yeah, I know. We're going to see. I don't know. The camera may or may not have died. We don't know. We're working with a bunch of new equipment, so we will see.
So we're going to give up the old cameras
Yes,
to get the new great camera.
Let's be real.
But let's fail forward.
We traded off a lot of certainty with our old camera. You hit the button, and that thing worked every single time.
Every single time.
But... there were some downfalls as well. The camera wasn't as good. The picture wasn't as good as this picture is. Hopefully you can still see me on YouTube.
Right.
But again, ask yourself this. Is there anything that I need to trade off to get the life of my dreams?
Right.
The answer is yes. It's a decision on what those things actually are for you. Ladies and gentlemen, Alan and I will be speaking live in Groton, Mass. on July 25th from 6:30 to 9 p.m. I will be doing a speech on cultivating confidence. Alan will be doing how to look as good on the outside as you are on the inside.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com/events, we will always have our up-and-coming events, because now Alan and I are really setting the intention and planning on trying to do one event a month where we're traveling all over the place, and we really want to meet you guys.
Absolutely.
You guys are in our DMs, and it would be awesome to be able to sit down with you, shake your hand, and...
Meeting you in person is really going to be a dream come true. I cannot wait to meet you all, and congrats to Kevin for making that events page so quickly.
I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely.
Finally.
Man. You're an action taker. You're a get shit done kind of guy.
Finally, I get some freaking credit. No, I'm just kidding. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. I'm sure we went over, not by much, only 2 minutes. Up next, we have a very special Small Talks episode on the word commitment. So, you'll hear a lot of people that say, I am in a relationship. But there's a big difference between being in a relationship and being committed.
Right.
Really, really showing that commitment to say, look, I am going to show up even when I'm tired. I am going to make time for you even when I'm super busy. I am going to always try to think of where you're coming from and the emotions that you're feeling throughout the day. And I want to be the first person you text in the morning and the last person you text before you go to bed. There's a big difference between just a relationship and somebody who is really, really committed and showing commitment. So we're going to do a Small Talks episode on that.
Yeah, commitment is a fire word. Honestly, whether it's your dreams or your relationship or your fitness goals, being committed to them is absolutely critical, because it's not always going to be easy. There's a big difference between choices and feelings. You're not always going to feel like showing up, but like Kevin said, you have a choice to make. If you're committed, you show up anyway, whether it's for your clients, for your intimate relationship, for your fitness goals, going to the gym late night when you don't want to go. That was me last night. Being committed is huge. Also, I just want to make two things clear. Number one, to get back to sort of the 5-minute clinic here. Every decision you make has trade-offs. The more aware you are of the pros and cons of each decision, the better off you're going to be in the long run. And then number two is, I challenge you out there, if you're on the fence about something and you're afraid to make a decision because the trade-off, the downside appears fearful, I encourage you to make the decision, because what you're doing is making no decision, which is actually the worst decision, because when you are on the fence, you don't learn anything because you don't try anything new.
And if you need help when it comes to that, reach out to Alan or myself, and we will be glad to help you. That's something that I think it's super important. Sometimes you need an outside perspective in order to make the right decision, because usually the easy decision is the one you want to make. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. We are committed to keeping this under a half hour, so we are going to go. We hope you enjoyed this, and we will talk to you later.
Talk to you soon.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for listening to another episode of the Hyper Conscious Podcast.
Going hyper-conscious will absolutely change your life, because if you understand why something is the way it is, now you have the power to change it. If you going hyper-conscious with us has changed your life in any way, please share this episode with one of your friends, because the more people that go hyper-conscious, the better this world's going to be for everybody.
And if you would kindly leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, that would help us make more people hyper-conscious, and we would be greatly appreciative.
Thank you.
Bye.